So as you know, a few months back, Russell Myers, he brought out a biography that he claimed at the time was about the other brother and the other girl. And he swore blind that it wasn't about Harry and Meghan. But what did we see? In the run-up to the publishing date of the book, everything was about Harry and Meghan. The excerpts, the interviews, the this, the that, the other. And when he did talk about the other brother and the other girl, he was telling us things we already knew. So to me, there wasn't anything fundamentally new in his book. So the book, I don't think, did as well. I believe I did a video about the numbers that his book did in the first week and the numbers that Tom Bower's Throne of Lies book did in the first week. I don't think they shifted as much copy as they thought they would. And remember, I'm writing a book myself. And when you're writing a book, the story doesn't just end with the writing of the book. You've got to think about the marketing and the promotion. And these men, they got these big contract deals with these publishers, things that I would probably never get in my lifetime. And with that comes access to media platforms, to a lot of promotional and marketing budgets that, again, the likes of me can only dream of. So those numbers, they weren't that good, quite frankly, compared to whatever they got in their publishing deals. And yeah, because the publishers are probably thinking, are we even going to make our money back? But anyway, the reason I say all this is because when Russell Myers was asked, is this book going to be about Harry and Meghan? He said, absolutely not. You will be surprised, blah, 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 blah. And lo and behold, the book is indeed about Harry and Meghan. At least in Tom Bower's case, with his Throne of Lies book, he said, yeah, my subject is going after Harry and Meghan, and it is Meghan I am after. So we know anything he writes is going to be a pack of lies, and it's directed at Harry and Meghan. But Russell Myers thought he was slick. He thought he was smart. But anyway, all that went away. I thought, okay, thank God, the book has come and gone. What next? But now we have even more briefings and we have even more claims in the press. So this time it's the other girl. Yes, the other girl is being centered, although Harry and Meghan are the subject. But apparently Russell Myers says that the other girl was upset that Harry and Meghan refused bit part player status, and the irony is structural. So let me place these claims side by side. Russell Myers writes that the other girl believed that Harry and Meghan's fundamental differences with her husband were rooted in Harry wanting more from his role than being a bit part player. He then writes that what sets the couples on an entirely different course was Harry and Meghan's attitude towards palace staff. So what they're trying to do, and I say this all the time, false equivalency. They take one thing that is ridiculous and they try to bolt it onto something else that is a bit more serious, but they have nothing to do with each other. So the argument is that Harry and Meghan were rude to staff because they wanted bigger roles, or that wanted a bigger role and having a difficult attitude to staff, junior employee. As someone who has worked in corporate, it's always diminished the junior employee. I remember I worked for a firm as a headhunter, and I didn't realize I was doing the job of three people until I left the organization. I was just so grateful to be given the opportunity to become a headhunter. I didn't realize what I was doing. I was on the side because I had, in that job, I had side quests. On the side, I was managing the interim division. And like I said, the interim is like their posh temps. So usually you pay them about $1,000, $2,000 a day. I mean, we're talking about 2005, 2004 here. You pay them about $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a day. I remember that one of them involved hiring a security consultant, and this woman was maybe one of two at that time in the world that could do that job. And her job involved consulting on large-scale events, as in global events, that needed security. She will tell you within an hour where all the possible, what's the word I'm looking for? Where all the possible entry points for certain evil people were. So if people wanted to do you harm, she would say, you need to look at this, She was excellent. The reason I remember her was that I was told at that time, pay her anything she asks. And she asked for 20 grand a day. To me, that was like, oh, and remember that 20 grand a year is the average wage of a British person. And to be honest, over the last 10 years, that hasn't really changed. But I remember then I was told by the Olympic Delivery Authority, pay her whatever she wants. And yeah, she was paid that. And because I believe if she was a man, she'd probably get about 50 grand a day. I believe that. But then that was what she asked for. So, but my point is, I was doing three jobs. So I was doing my normal headhunting job, as in literally pitching, interviewing candidates, pitching to clients, writing reports, etc. I was managing the interim division, making sure that they got paid, making sure that the CVs, everything, there was matching going on. If a client came to us saying we want an interim, making sure there was matching. Also, I was going out of the company and I was delivering talks. I was doing those talks at the weekend in my own time because we had things called job hunting workshops in those days. And the job hunting workshops were for really, really senior people, CEOs, etc. So I was doing business schools, going to like Ashridge, London Business School, Warwick, Glasgow Business School, Said Business School. And in those days, black woman talking about job hunting, they used to look at me like, yeah, right. What does she know? Until I open my mouth and I deliver it was 6 hours in those days, by the way. Then Meghan was working in a hostile environment. Yeah, it is legal. And Meghan can prove that she was working in a hostile environment. Do you know how she can prove it? Because of the things that were written about her in the press that were leaked by sources. You see, these people, they play themselves because you cannot be saying nasty things about me, leaking about me to the press, creating a hostile environment, telling the press that you refuse to serve me because I'm a former actress. And this is the nickname you call me, and etc., etc. So you've briefed that to the press. And at the same time, you're saying, well, she had an attitude. You created a hostile environment. And if Meghan takes you to the tribunal, she would win hands down. That is how stupid and idiotic this latest briefing and serialization from Russell Myers and the other girl is. But they don't see, because they don't use logic when they write these things. So apparently the other girl felt let down because the bridesmaid's dress lie was also corrected. And rightly so. You let yourself down by trying to colonize another woman's wedding. You also brought your own dressmaker to... I can't even imagine. I mean, even if you don't like Meghan, say put your dislike of Meghan to one side. If you are watching this and you are a fan of the other girl or the monarchy, under what planet is it right that you bring someone, your own dress designer, to somebody else's wedding in an attempt to say the bridesmaid's dresses need remaking? It's beyond me. Meanwhile, other mums were taking their children to the tailor that was on standby for alterations. He was there from about 8 o'clock in the morning. He was at KP, he was at Kensington Palace. And you refuse to take your child because the dresses have to be remade. Again, it goes to Meghan making herself smaller, bowing and scraping to you. Oh my God, the other girl is a horrible... I've always said it. I think she's a mean girl, and I think she's a horrible person, and I'll say it. So, at the end of the day, for somebody then to write this authorized book about you and try to claim that you, the other girl, are the injured party, that is diabolical. So at the end of the day, we have a couple who have private jet visits willy-nilly, people who are posting Zoom calls in the court circular, and yet they don't even see themselves as bit part players. That is a bit part player to me. Someone who works, they don't even work part-time. And the other girl has not been seen in public ever since she did the trip to Italy. She's not been seen for a couple of weeks.